When you are in the midst of having to say goodbye to what your normal was, what you're used to, and someone comes into your life and you know that if it goes left, that's another goodbye that you would have to say. Even if I feel like you aren't seeing Jazz clearly, it's helping you see yourself more clearly. Sometimes we are fortunate enough to come in contact with people who don't want to add to that. We come into contact with people who want to hold it for you, who want to take it off of you, who want to relieve you from it. Is he intentional? Does he show up for you, support you? Does he love you? Does he get you off? He's a romance hero. Like, there are things that are specific to you that you need, but at the end of the day, most romance heroes are just kind men. You deserve love at any time, every time, all the time.
Have you ever read a romance novel with a love story so good that after you finished, you just had to pause and think about the type of love that you want for yourself? Think about it because I know I have. And what has become really apparent as I've read these books and these stories is that these stories don't just happen, they are crafted and written with intention by authors who know how to capture the feelings of love, desire, and connection. And so I am so excited. Excited is an understatement, but we'll use that word for now, okay? But I am so excited for today's guest, USA Today bestselling author, educator, and life coach, Danielle Allen. Danielle is the author of the Curve series that follows the love life of plus-size women and great friends, Aaliyah from Curvy Girl Summer, you got Nina from Plus Size Players, and now Jazz from Big Girl Blitz. And I just love that Danielle writes these characters to be bold, confident, and excelling in various aspects of their lives, okay? And so I am so looking forward to getting, into Danielle's success with writing, her writing process, what she, how she plans it out. Are we doing plot first, characters, or feeling? I'm ready to get into all of that, as well as the third and final book of this Curve series, Big Girl Blitz. This is a new episode of But What Do I Know? A space for honest conversations, lived experiences, and growth in real time. I'm Chidinma, and I am so glad that your curiosity led you right to this conversation.
I feel like she is driving home and she's feeling like, okay, I want to spend this time with my aunt. It is necessary for me to do that. I have to go to Chance. So not feeling that. But then when she gets there and come to find out she has to stay there, and then all the circumstances around her having to stay there, now she's in a different space and she meets somebody in that space. So when you think about the different places that you are, you can meet someone at any of those spaces when you're in the middle of a frustrating time because you're like, time is of the essence because I am. Because really, Aaliyah's point was that, before her parents and her uncle got involved, she wanted to be bent over and done right to bring in her 30s. That's the reason why she was looking for a man for her birthday. It was never about her family. It wasn't until they were pressing her and she was like, oh, well, you'll meet him at the thing, as if he already existed. But she had already planned on being done the way she needed to be done at her birthday. So There's that. With Nina, her whole situation was, why have one? Why
Mm,
so? And then she meets someone who happens to be perfect for her. Life was already good. She met someone who was trying to make it great. And then you have Jazz, who was looking to get dick down, if we're being honest, but then a distraction from all the things that were happening. She wasn't looking for love. She just happened to meet someone who was perfect for her and who saw that same thing in her that she saw in him. They weren't looking for each other. They found each other, and it just so happened to be in really, I want to say, transformative times in their lives because the things that were happening transformed them in
mm,
ways that would be spoilers.
real. No, but I like the way that you approached it. Sounds like you were very, like, you took a very methodological approach to this is this woman, this is what she needs in this time. Let me craft MMC to meet her where she's at. Cause you're right. Like, Ahmad, as playful as he was, would have pissed Jazz off. Like, that's not what Jazz needed in that time. If you
And
came to that bar cracking jokes,
he would have meant well, and Jazz would have just been like,
nah, go on.
"Right, like, no, absolutely not."
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally like, now I'm just kind of revisiting the scenes, especially when they first meet each other and how the story plays out, and you're so yeah, absolutely. Even Lamar and Jazz at first, you know what? Jazz didn't annoy me. I was about to say she annoyed me, but she didn't because I completely understood that she was not ready for that. She had just come out of something very disappointing.
Yep.
Imagine spending a long time with someone and it doesn't end well.
Okay.
So now you're not looking to repeat that. You're not looking for that.
She said, first page of the book, she said, "I'm looking to get my back blown out." That's it, that's all. Aaliyah said, "We're gonna find you a boyfriend." She said, "Whoa, don't want that. I just want my back blown out." And Nina said, "Welcome to the streets, baby girl. Imma show you the ropes." And she said, "Whoa, don't want that either. I want one man to blow my back out as needed." And they were like a friends with benefits situation. She was like, "That would be nice, but that never works out for me." And so she was not looking for that. It had been, what was it, 10 years since she had been on a first date. Like, she met her ex-husband in college, and now she has healed from the divorce and is finally ready to be out. So it's her first time dating at a time where she is going through a lot of things emotionally. And she was not looking to meet the great love of her life. She was honestly just trying to be distracted. And then this man, smelling all luxurious and good, pops up, and then they just had chemistry, and then she was like, "Well, you know what? I did say I wanted some dick, and here he is." And so it was never in her mind, it was never supposed to be that. And so when people, like, are annoyed with her, it's because you can see what it is and what it could be. But in her mind, it's like, "I'm not looking for that. I got too much going on right now anyway." And then once they connect for real, it's like, I don't want to get into something and, like, lose something when I'm already trying not to lose the things that are already in my life. I can't afford to get into something and it become another loss in this stage in my life. And I felt like the number of people who don't on the surface get that hurts my heart because it's like, that is where she is, and what drove a lot of the decisions that she made. It wasn't because she was insecure. It wasn't because she didn't know her worth. It wasn't because she didn't want to let anyone love her. It was because when you are in the midst of, I don't want to say that because then that might be a spoiler. When you are in the midst of having to say goodbye to what your normal was, what you're used to, and someone comes into your life and you know that if it goes left, that's another goodbye that you would have to say. It's like, I can't handle a bunch of goodbyes right now. This one is too heavy. So, no thank you. I would rather keep you as a friend and have you forever
Mhm.
than to have you as my man and then it fall apart and now I don't have this as well as the other things I feel like I might be losing.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point you bring up, and, I'm sorry that, some of the listeners and readers don't quite get it. I'm sorry.
No, I feel but the thing is, what I love seeing is when people are like, "Oh, I'm so frustrated with her because she's doing X, Y, and Z," and then they recognize that that's them, and they see themselves in how they move and, like, some of the things they have going on, because a lot of things when we're reading, it's a very personalized experience, and so if you are seeing something in Jazz or in any of my characters, and you realize that, "Oh, I don't like the way they're responding to this," or, "I don't like the way they're moving in this moment," and then you realize that that's how you move, you have to sit with that, and it's like, "Okay, if I don't like it in this fictional character, yet I know I do it, now I have to do some internal work." And I think that's a beautiful thing too, because even if you feel like X, Y, and Z about the characters, if it's making you look at yourself differently, if it's making you look at yourself in a way that feels, okay, here's how I can make changes to improve upon my
Mhm.
life, myself, my relationships, my friendships, my whatever, that is a beautiful thing to me, and I love that. Even if I feel like you aren't seeing Jazz clearly, it's helping you see yourself more clearly, and that's part of what I want you to take away.
Yeah, no, for real. Because I do see myself in all the women at different times, but I think I'm more, yeah, but I think I'm like a little bit of Jazz. I'm not going through quite what she was going through, but I had a really hard year last year. It was great to even have someone, you know, help me through that tough year.
Okay? And listen, listen, okay? And so you get it.
Exactly. And I too have had a homie be like, "Hey, I got your back through these bad dates, but you were the one that we should have probably just."
Okay?
So,
These
Aaliyah and
things
Jazz,
happen.
they really do. I did have a quick Nina phase. Nina is the leader of all of us in that department, so
Oh,
oh, man, but
indeed.
I wanna ask because 'cause you've talked about just the level of depth that you go into developing these characters, right? So what do you think is that key factor that make these male leads especially feel believable versus too idealistic? Because, we've read a book where it's like there has to be a humanist perspective and, behavior and attribute to the men. We're not perfect. So, and of course, you want to write it so that we can swoon and fall in love with the characters, but there still has to be that behavioral traits that are like, okay, yeah, this is believable versus, nah, girl, this is never happened in real life. Come on. So, what is that like key factor for you?
Well, I feel like first and foremost, like, there are so many men out here doing swoon-worthy things,
That is true.
and it is I can't date a man who wouldn't be swoon-worthy. Like, I just feel like that is just not I am a lover girl,
Me too.
I need a lover boy, I need someone who is like, "Yes, be about me, all intentional with it." So, I feel like one of the things that I think is important is to make sure that, they're perfectly aligned, the male main character and the female main character. So the things that would be a hiccup between them would never be something that is insurmountable because I feel like the person for you isn't they're not no one's perfect. And so they're gonna, like, mess up, like, maybe say the wrong thing at the wrong time, not cheat. Those are not the same type of mess up. Like, come home late is different than not come home at all.
Correct.
There's a so it's like making sure the characters are operating with respect, with intentionality, and with love. And so when they are acting out or reacting or having a moment, and I feel like without there being any spoilers, I feel like there were things that Ahmad should have said that he didn't. And I feel like there's communication issues that happen between people all the time, and it can make or break a relationship. There's Russ found out something, and, like, his first instinct was, "Wait a minute," to be suspicious, and that is also a real reaction, and so while some people, like, felt a way about him even thinking that, that's a real reaction, and so Lamar also, because of what he has been through, didn't communicate some things that he should have, and so when people like Jazz should have X, Y, and Z, it's like, y'all ain't see Lamar also not? Okay. So, I feel like having the characters 'cause they come to me as if they were real, so they have these things that make them not perfect, and so the men especially, like, they are
Mm.
loving and intentional and respectful, but they aren't perfect, so they don't say the things that they should say at the time they should say it. They don't just automatically believe something, like, you know what I mean? Like, there are things that if they were perfect, they would have moved differently in the moment, but if they moved like that in the moment, that that wasn't true to who they were as the real fake character I made up. And so, I think that having those qualities shine through make it easier for not only them to feel real, but for the relationship dynamic to feel real.
I really like that you said that. Yeah, that's really good because it helps to ground the story as well. It helps us, connect to even things that we got going on, even on the friendship side too. Like yeah, it just helps to kind of like bring the story down, make it feel real. And I can easily see any of these books adapted into a movie or TV series too with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I really love it. And so it's funny, this is gonna get me into my next question because you've written so many stories, right? So many stories, so many books. And it feels like Curve, this series, this trilogy is sort of the one that has launched you into mainstream success because you have a huge sort of like underground cult following. We found your books through like Amazon or through like Goodreads and we would read and I came on I want to say like the Broken Clock sweatpants season era. That was where I found you and I was like, "Oh, I'm here. I'm staying." How does it feel for it to be this series and this trilogy that launched you into mainstream success?
I feel like everything happens in its own time. I
Hmm.
feel like what's for me is for me, and if it would have happened like, I love every single one of my stories. I don't feel like the Curve series is so much better than my other stories. I feel like it's just as good as Insta Love, as Business Casual, as The Single Life with Zola Patterson, the Women of V series, like, Work Song, things that have not gotten as much play. I feel like the Curve series is right up there with them. I think that the timing of things is it matters, like, things hit when they're supposed to hit, but I feel like one thing that I think about a lot is when I put out my very first story, it was called Back to Life, and it I wrote Back to Life and Back to Reality in 2013, published them, and a handful of people read them, and I am so thankful to that handful of people. I mean, the first handful of people were just my friends and family, but then other random people would read it, and I remember I got an email from a young lady who was at JMU, and which I thought was really, like, poignant because, like, I live in Virginia, and JMU is in Virginia, and so, like, she sent an email and was like, Back to Life was the first time that she had read a story that felt like her, and she saw herself, and I said, "Well, I'll be," and I fell in love with the art of just storytelling, and I kept going, even though it was my friends and family and that JMU student who read the first one, I kept going and I didn't stop and I continued. So what I what I take away from, like, how the Curve series has been received is just, like, a continuation of what my journey is and will continue to be. I could have I would have could have easily stopped when it was 10 books sold, and I personally knew 8 of the buyers, like, it would've it would have been easy to not believe in myself, but that's just not how I was raised, that's not how I was built. So, when I think about the people who are being introduced to me with the Curve series, I love it, but I feel like you don't have to feel like, "Oh, I gotta wait a long time for my next Danielle Allen fix." I have 56 books published. 53 of them are fiction. 3 of them are the Curve series, which means 50 of them are fiction, novels and novellas, and a couple short stories, like, ready to be read, consumed, and loved, and so, I feel like it has given me more of a readership, like, the readership has grown, and I am thankful for that, but it's been a blessing this entire time, the entire journey has been a blessing, and without indie publishing, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am now, so, like, I just continue to write what's on my heart to write and hope that readers connect with it because I'm pouring so much into it. And that's
Mm.
all I can do because you just never know what story is gonna hit. I have people who are reading, like, Broken Clocks, for instance, for the first time now. I wrote that in 2018 or 2019, and so, like, people are talking about it as if it's new, but I wrote it the same year I wrote Sweatpants Season or, Cuffing Season, so it's like it's been several years since but, like, it's new to someone. So, that is what I love about a good book or any type of art form. Like, when people discover it, that's when they discover it. But, like, I've been here doing my thing. I'm gonna continue to do my thing, And I am so grateful and thankful and blessed to have people who are receiving it.
Mm. Well, that's real. I love that you have this approach of, gratitude, just for the journey. But it also speaks to the grind of being a creative. Because I knew you had been writing. Of course, I joined your readership in 2018. The Broken Clocks is my when I say I need a movie for Broken Clocks. I want to go back to the first time I listened to Broken Clocks. I love that story so much because it's so like the depth and the sadness that you were able to pull, but then still like bring them together, and then she has something to deal with. I love that book so much.
Thank you.
But just to hear you talk about you published your first book in 2013. Danielle, we are in 2026.
I know. We're coming up on the 13th anniversary.
13 years. And because you're absolutely right. I think that timing is so important. I think sometimes we work and we're grinding and we're hustling, and it's like, when is it going to be my turn to, and not from a selfish way, not like when is it going to be my turn to shine, but when is it going to be my turn to feel like I'm reaping I'm reaping what I sowed, or I'm getting to share my gift and my work to a larger number of people. I've shared it with 100. I'm ready for 10,000 to hear what I have to say, you know? So I'm happy that it happened for you. I hope and I pray listeners, please go back and listen and read, Danielle's books. She has so many, and each of them have something unique to offer, when it comes to a romance novel. So definitely go ahead and listen or read them. I'll put all the information in the episode description of the links and where you can find them because, yeah, you can definitely binge. If you're looking for something to do on the weekend, you can definitely binge you some Danielle Allen. So,
Yeah. Thank
you
you.
know,
Thank you.
yeah. You know what I can binge is your intimate scenes, sister, because wow, let's get into that. Okay, so across the Curve series, you have some very memorable, intimate, steamy scenes that we just will not forget for years to come. Okay, from first of all, the opening scene of Curvy Girl Summer. I did not expect that I had it in my headphones. So, starting off my day, I'm on the train, I'm going to work, and I just hear, bent me over 10 inches. I said, sorry, who wrote this book?
You said, come again?
I said, wow. And then, we talk about Ahmad, he's playful. But then when we get to that scene, while she was supposed to be on a date with another man, Danielle, you were wrong for that.
In
But I
her
liked it.
in her defense, she was just trying to go wash her hands. That's all. So,
Oh, she had to wash those hands, all right. Okay. But I listened to that. I said, oh, you can go back out and continue that day, girl. You got to go home and relive this one. Because, like, what's the point? Just go home. Tell that man good night. Okay. And then, of course, the helicopter scene in Plus Size Players. Yeah.
yeah.
And then Lamar, just with all the things he was trying, experimenting, and doing. I said, wow, I like it here. Okay. So, how do you approach these? Because they work especially for the female gaze. I think it's so important as female readers. It just speaks to us. It's not done in a very corny or dismissive way. It's not, girl, get on your knees right now. Like, even though there are some dominant male characters, but it's still tasteful and it's sexy and it's grown and it's good. So what's your approach to these scenes?
I let them do their thing. Like, I will put on some music, light a candle, and then because I never write sex for the sake of sex. Even the beginning of Curvy Girl Summer, even though that man, I mean, I know his name, but like He's a no he's a nobody. But that scene was on purpose because at the end of the day, if you would have met Aaliyah at her family's house at then all of the things that her family was saying would make you believe that Aaliyah is not as confident as she is, that she can't get a man, and that et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because society has programmed us to feel that way about women in bigger bodies. And so seeing a beautiful fat woman getting her back blown out, page 1, welcome to the series, it's like, "Okay, wait, what? Who are these people?"
Mm.
Like, and you're not supposed to feel a connection with what's happening because who is this? And that's how Aaliyah felt. Like, Aaliyah got hers, and then immediately after it was done, it was like, "Okay, and this is why I gotta find my man because I do n sir, we said we were just gonna do this and go." We were circling back one time, and so which at the beginning of Big Girl Blitz, when they're having that three-way call in chapter 1, first page, and Aaliyah's like, "I feel like I'm about to combust. I'm trying to hold on and, like, not make some calls that I wanna make." But we already know, since her book starts a week after Jazz's book starts, that she made that call, and her hopes were dashed, and she did that. But it was you were able to see her, like, getting hers, owning her sexuality, having this man begging to be with her, and her
Yeah.
saying no. So, like, the sex scene was intentional. Was it a wild way to start? Yes, but it was purposeful so that when you're meeting her, you're meeting this woman who knows what she wants, isn't settling for this ma yes, did he get her off? Yes, but that was the one thing that he was good at. He wasn't the partner that she wanted. He played in her face when they did date, and so she was like, "Oh, you're playing. Okay, well, Imma go," and she let him go, and he's begging for a chance to be back with her, and she's like, "No, no, I'm good. We're not doing this." So you're able to see her in the way that I wanted you to see her, so that when you do get to her family being like, "Oh, you ain't got a man," well, we already know that if she just wanted a man, any old man, she could have that. It
Mhm.
was never about her not being able to attract a man like her Uncle Al thought. It wasn't about her not being able to keep her man like her mama thought. Like, it was never about those things. It was her knowing her worth and wanting to be with the man for her. So then when we get the next sex scene, it's different because it's the man for her. It was straight it was just straight fucking chapter 1, and then later, like, it was more than that, and so I feel like so all of the sex scenes are intentional, and they show where the characters are, how they get down, what they're into, how they show affection to one another, and when you see Nina and her partner, there is a, "I can't keep my hands off of you." Like, I want anytime like, that song, "Anywhere" by 112, like, that's the energy, like and so then when we get to Jazz, it's like each scene progresses in a way like their relationship, and so it is the first time is like, "I want you, I'm attracted to you, like, this connection is crazy, let's do this." And then the other experiences, there's more and more and more and more, and each one is is intentional, and I hope that you're able to take a little bit and learn a little bit more about them each time, especially when he says from the beginning, the way I don't want to do this, like, I respect you. I don't want this to be the first like, I don't wanna do you right here, but you got my
Okay.
dick hard, and I am hot and bothered, and if you want it, Imma give it to you, but this is not where I would ideally, I would have you somewhere tied up, and so that is where he is, but then it takes time for that to take place, so all of the scenes are intentional, and they are very specific to each character.
Yeah, no, okay. You talking about it now, I'm like, okay, they are very, very specific. I knew that, but I didn't really understand just how specific until you talked about Lamar's, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." It was very specific to where he was at that time, and even for Jazz, it takes some time for her to open up. That also shows, even in their sex life as well. That's
Yes.
very good. That's very good.
Thank you.
That's very, very, very good, and I think this is kind of indicative of how multifaceted you are because you're not just a writer, you're also, an educator and a life coach. And so do you purposefully infuse your experience from your life coaching practice into these books because it feels like you're almost like I've never been to a life coach, but I imagine that some of the advice that you give these characters through your friends or even as they come to learn more about themselves, it feels very much like there was a coach in the room helping them through it, you know? So do you do that on purpose or is it just kinda like how you've trained to see things now?
Both, but absolutely, like, it's intentional because that's part of whatever it is that's in there, that's part of the lesson that I feel like I'm purposed to like, in my art, I feel like my purpose in life is to help people help themselves, and I do that in whatever way, whether that is when I, like, would teach a class, when I life coach, like, what in whatever way. So, in my art, I do that as well. So, it's just in me and who I am, but it is embedded in every story.
No, I really, really like it. Like, I think, again, going back to the holistic love stories, I think it adds that extra layer because, and I'm going to try not to spoil it, but even when we look at Aaliyah and what she had to figure out for herself and learning to speak up, it's not like she didn't have confidence. All your characters are very confident, but
Yes.
there's a certain way that people will kind of talk to you, and you just have to learn to talk back and stand up
Yes.
for yourself, you know?
Yes.
And then with Nina, she knew she was a shit, but having to navigate it because she's a public figure
Mhm.
and certain things, especially, certain things you would hear in the workplace from your coworkers, having to navigate that.
Yes.
And then with Jazz, of course, the big life change she's dealing with, but then also her career path and then being able to navigate and think through all of that, and even Lamar himself too, navigating his career as well, right? So, yeah, 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 it just gives these characters extra layers and depth, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, these are these are very, 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 very good." So with Big Girl Blitz, and it's funny, I feel like a lot of other, reaction channels and literary girlies have mentioned this as well. It feels like a very easy read, easy listen, very let's just say I was waiting for Lamar to fuck up and he didn't, right? And and we of course have mentioned that these characters are not perfect, but they these are good men. Like, these are great men that show up for these women in the way that they need at that time. So I didn't expect him to do a complete, 180 and change all of a sudden, but I just thought that there would be a bigger mistake or something would be his fault, or especially because it also felt like Jazz was sort of looking for that in him. So I was like, okay, when's all this shoe gonna drop? But it didn't. And I think that perhaps we're just not used to stories like that. Because I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and they were like, "Yeah, I wanted her to struggle a little bit more. I wanted her to go through some things. Like, it felt like her love, it was just so easy." And I was like, "But we all."
Here's the thing. Was she not struggling enough? Why
Glad.
why would someone come into your life now, don't get me wrong, there are definitely people who will come into your life, see you got a whole bunch of stuff going on, and be like, "You know what? I can make it worse." But, like, why would this man who instantly connects with her, respects her, and genuinely likes her as a human being, why would he see that she's carrying a heavy load and be like, you know what I could do to make this worse? I could pile on." And the thing is, like, every story is different. Like, and I love that about, like, me as an artist. Like, there are no, like, 2, like, stories that are the same. Every, like, series has its own different vibe. Every story has its own different vibe, but they all connect. The Curve series, although it's not numbered for some, like, it's numbered if you're looking online for it, but on its spine, I wish now, in retrospect, I wish it was numbered, because when people are like, "Oh, I love the third one's the best." It's a continuous story. And then people will say they are like standalones. They are not. I mean, technically, could you read it as a standalone and enjoy it? Yes. But, like, to really get and understand the full scope of all of their love stories, the entire, like, situation, the collection is a thing, is an entity of its own. The Curve series should be read in order, and when you read them all, I feel like it isn't necessarily like okay, Big Girl Blitz. It can be your favorite, but, like, the things that are happening in Big Girl Blitz were set up in Curvy Girl Summer. The connections and the love stories that you're seeing through Curvy Girl Summer and Plus Size Player are concluding also in Big Girl Blitz. So it's Jazz's point of view, but it's very much all of their stories. And so without any spoilers. So I feel like the when you are surrounded by people who genuinely love you and want the best for you, the struggle the struggle that Jazz faced was never going to come from
Mm,
him. The struggle There were a lot of other struggles that they had to deal with, and I feel like sometimes people want to see more of a struggle, because when it feels easy in real life, then it feels like, "Okay, well, it's not that easy for me." But she wasn't going through an easy time at all. If anything, she was having the roughest time of her 3 friends. The love story, it's just that her love life was moving in a different way than what one might have assumed. But, like, it is sometimes the weight that we're carrying for trauma, for struggle, for sometimes we are fortunate enough to come in contact with people who don't want to add to that. We come into contact with people who want to hold it for you, who want to take it off of you, who want to relieve you from it. And that is a blessing in and of itself. But what I also wanted people to take from that is there can be people who want to hold and carry and share that weight with you. And you can be holding on so tight to it because if you are looking at the collection of stories as the collection, then you see Jazz showing up for Aaliyah, even though she's got everything that she has going on. She might not be always answering the phone, always in the group chat, but when Aaliyah's like, hey, this date, I don't know about X, Y, and Z, Jazz was giving her some encouragement. When Nina was like, emergency three-way call, like 11 o'clock, Jazz was on that emergency call. Like, she shows up, she pours into, she sends those like messages of encouragement to the people that she loves, to the people in her life. She is showing up for everybody. And so she doesn't ever want to put extra weight on other people and feel like she's burdening them. So while there are people who want to like take that off of you, there are other people who would rather like give so much love and light and support, and they don't wanna give you their burdens because they don't wanna burden you with it. And so, Jazz had people in her life who were ready to show up and show out for her. And so, the burdens that she had, the struggles that she had, they were enough. And
Mhm.
I believe that there are people out there who are going through things, and they could come in contact with people who love them. Because it happens like that sometimes. Like, there's no perfect season for you to be in. You could be frustrated and, like, swiping on these apps, and somebody perfect for you comes into your life. You can be completely content rotating different men, and then somebody perfect for you comes into your life. You can be going through the most devastating time of your life, and then someone perfect comes into your life and is there for you. There's no perfect space for you to be in for someone to come into your life. You deserve love at any time, every time, all the time.
Mhm. No, that's real. And I felt the same way by the end because at first I too was asking myself, where are the challenges in this love? They're just, meeting up, the bar, the house, having a good time. You're helping him, he's helping you, he's sending gifts. And I was like, where is the challenge? But when I finished listening to it, I was like, you know what? I understand what the story was in the broader Curve series. I understand why it happened to Jazz. Like, I understand why it had to be Jazz. Like, it makes so much sense for all that she had going through, all that she had going on and was going through. Like you mentioned, it was only right that she had the people around her who loved her to lift some of that burden. She was already going through enough. So, could you imagine if with all she had going on, now you had a man you don't know if you don't know what it is, you can't think you
Listen, she woulda had to drop him immediately, cause like,
absolutely.
Jazz was a confident gal. She was not gonna, like, put up with nonsense, and some man adding to the burdens? Absolutely not. Story over. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. So I understand. I'm on board now. I'm on board. When I was reading, I was sort of like, oh, where's the but I get it. I get it. So Danielle, the last question I have for you tonight, and I just, thank you so much for your time. This is something I've sort of been thinking of with the sort of mainstream growth of Black love stories again. I don't know, it sort of feels like a resurgence. I'm not sure if I assume that Bookstagram, Book Talk all sort of helped push some of these books into the mainstream and limelight. But with authors like, yourself and Kennedy and so many others, and, Robbie Renee and so many of them, we're getting a lot of these amazing love stories that are raising the bar and also encouraging us as readers to raise our standards for love, right? We are thinking if listen, if you don't have a man like Ahmad, if you don't have a man like Lamar, it's got you thinking a little bit, right? Which I don't think is a bad thing. Like, it's making us rethink our standards and what we want for ourselves and our love lives. But now I feel like, how do we hold multiple things to be true? How do we hold the fact that we love these stories, they're raising the bar, but at the same time, maybe our love lives may not pan out like these, or the men that we have in our life may not be, these same personalities, or for some of us, we may never get our, happy ever after. So how do we sort of hold both to be true?
The easiest way to answer that is just like what we talked about before. Ahmad is amazing, but he wouldn't have been amazing for Nina. He wouldn't have been amazing for Jazz, and the rest the same. So these men are perfect for the woman that they are assigned to. When you're looking in your life, is the man that you're with, is the woman that you're with perfect for the person that you are? If so, there you are. There are people who, like, at the end of the day, the commonality for these men in particular, is he kind to you? Is he intentional? Does he show up for you, support you? Does he love you? Does he get you off? He's a romance hero. Like, there are things that are other like, there are things that are specific to you, that you need, but at the end of the day, most romance heroes are just kind men, are sweet men, people who are sweet to you, who care about you, and who are intentional about it, and so it's like, so it's not, I don't think that romance makes it more difficult to find love. I think, because I do think that more men should read romance, and then they would know, like, we're not asking for uh, a whole lot as the starter kit. It's like, again, intentionality, respect, loyalty, real love, and pleasure. And I feel like the if he's doing those things, cool. We have the workings of, but that doesn't mean that that one man who is doing those things is perfect for me, but he could be perfect for you. He could be not perfect for either of us and perfect to the next person. So it's like, it's very specific, but I think that it gets people thinking about what it means to show up for you, and making sure that you are partnered with someone who is doing that.
Yeah, no, that's real. Yeah. I actually like that you mentioned that because I do think these stories are so real and grounded enough that you can take the life lessons, you can take, okay, this is what I want my love life to be similar to, and then live your own life. I think that this, yeah, like it raises the standard. It's good for the girlies to see what healthy Black love can look like, even with the imperfections. And then you think about yourself and then apply that in your, if you're dating or you're looking for a man or men, you can then, take it and apply. So I totally hear you. I totally get it. Cause I think sometimes there's this sort of like thinking and misconception that these romance books are just so idealistic that they're setting up women for all this, falsehood when it comes to dating in real life. But no, not with yours, I don't find, because these men are still real.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what you want is what you want. And
Mhm.
so get what you want. And I think that if someone is like, I think it's unrealistic if you think I'm going to be nice to you, that's probably not the dream person.
Absolutely not.
Like, I feel like when I hang out with, like, friends who are male, they treat me well. When I go on dates, I'm treated well because that I know how I wanna be treated, and if someone didn't treat me well, I will not be there anymore. I will leave because you set the standard of how you wanna be treated, and what what that means to you. Because what I want could be different from what you want, and there's someone out there is gonna give me what I want, there's someone out there that's gonna give you what you want. So it doesn't even have to be like a whole big thing, but, hopefully, the books help people understand and know what it is that they want,
Mm.
so they know how to ask for it.
Yeah, that's real. Know what you want so you know how to ask for it. That's real, and that's a good place to end. Thank you so much, Danielle. Like, I appreciate you joining me. This was such a good chat.
Absolutely, I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I love this series. Listeners, make sure you go and listen to the Curve series in order, please. Okay. Do not come and listen to, but don't be talking about Big Girl Blitz if you haven't read Curvy Girl Summer. Go back, sis. Go back. Go back. But thank you so much, Danielle. Again, please let the people know where they can find the books and connect with you, before we wrap up.
Anywhere books are sold, that is where you can find the Curve series, even at the Atlanta airport, which was my first time seeing my books at the airport, so I was very excited. And then I'm on social media at author Danielle Allen on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Um, I'm on Blue Sky, but I think it's at Danielle Allen. I don't be over there like that, but I support, so I'm there.
Okay. No, that's great. And I will put all of that in the episode description. Listeners, make sure you go ahead and, follow Danielle, keep up with the work. Let's see what's next after, you've read the Curve series. But thank you, Danielle, once again.
Thank you so much, I appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Danielle. I really hope that this conversation, but also Danielle's Curve series in general, gives you the space to, reflect and think about your journey, with romantic love, where you're at, and, not just what it looks like, but what it truly feels like for you in this moment, okay? Listen, go ahead and share this one in the group chat. I know the girlies love Danielle. I know we love the Curve series. I know you love Curvy Girl Summer, Plus Size Players, and now Big Girl Blitz. So go ahead and share it with the girlies, talk about it. Use this episode for your book club chats. And then when you're done, come on socials on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at BWDIK Podcast and let us know your thoughts on the books and on this conversation and on, Danielle's process as well. Love to know, what you're thinking about, what you thought about Big Girl Blitz and this conversation. And finally, make sure that you are subscribed, on whatever platform it is that you use to listen to or watch the podcast. Okay. As always, be well, take care of yourself, and keep living.